Hello and welcome to the OCVarsity Gridiron Show Week 4. I am your host, Jonathan Khamis. To my left is Steve Fryer. To my right is Dan Albano. And before we talk about the Spartans, let's talk about our stars of Week 3. Steve, I know you're going to pick someone who had a night for the record books.
An uncommon night for Quinn Commons, a junior quarterback at Whittier Christian High School. Good-looking athlete, folks. 6'3", 210 pounds. Last week against Bell, a big win over Bell for the Whittier Christian Heralds. He threw for 490 yards and 9 touchdowns. 9 touchdowns is an Orange County single-game record held by
Bert Call. Oh, how did I know that?
Bert Call, the current modern-day baseball coach. Kind of curious what Commons and Whittier Christian is going to do this week. They've got to play at Duarte. Duarte's 3-0. It's a pretty good test for Whittier Christian and Quinn Commons.
Yeah, an unbelievable night for Quinn. I got Raul Balderas from Pacifica. He had 200 yards rushing in a 38-7 victory against Garden Grove. Dan, defense, who we got?
I got a big defensive end from Los Alamitos, Joey Noble, number 98, had 3 sacks, caused a fumble, I believe 7 solo tackles, and the Griffins' big victory at La Habra.
Okay, before we get to VP, our game of the week, where we have a battle of unbeatens, a battle of top 10 teams in the county, as 4-0, both are 4-0. Edison and Mater Dei are meeting Friday night at Orange Coast College. Steve, the Chargers beat San Juan Hills last week, 24-17. That was a fun game to be at. Sean Colomonico, though, was injured in that game. We talked to Coach White afterwards. He said maybe he shouldn't have even played that game. So, man, if you're not playing Sean, that might be really tough against Mater Dei.
Well, it's tough even if you have him, you know, and Sean's a really good player and a really great kid, too. We were visiting with him in Edison last week. The thing about Mater Dei is if they're kind of looking invincible. Of course, I still think Bosco's a little bit better than them. But if Mater Dei thinks they're invincible, they could get in a little bit of trouble.
Dan, I mean, for Edison to upset Mater Dei, I think it's just going to take a monumental effort.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you mention Colomonico, you know, he's also a good defensive back. And that's what you need when you face Mater Dei with, you know, 5 star wide receivers. Edison looks outmatched, but you know this is the last Dave White, Bruce Rollinson matchup, so you know that. And then there's some familiarity with Edison and these, you know, with the Mater Dei program. But I think it's looking pretty lopsided, you know, going into it for Mater Dei.
Okay, let's talk about Villa Park now. Villa Park, they are 2-1, and they will play against El Medina, 3-0. Is it a home game? They both play at the same spot, right? I mean, it's one of those deals. All right, Villa Park lost to Servite last week. Steve Fryer, you were there, 41-32, and you said John Stamos was the best player on the field. Man, you must really like him. I do.
I do too. You know, not only is he a fierce fullback / running back guy who, when he gets the ball and he gets into the line, he's going to carry everybody for another 4 or whatever yards. But as a linebacker, oh my gosh, man, that guy was all over the field. Geez. You know, this game with El Medina really interests me because I've seen El Medina play. What a gritty bunch of guys they have. And Dylan Keefe, they got to get him the football, and he does so many things, blocks punts, field goal attempts, makes tackles. Dylan Keefe also one of those guys. You know, Keefe and Stamos, you know, that's going to be a great, you know, you don't have too many one-on-one matchups in high school football. Kind of got one here. You know, Villa Park looks like the favorite in this game, but El Medina's playing with a lot of confidence right now. Coach Matt Mitchell, man, he's got that thing going, but Villa Park looks like the better football team.
Yeah, the Vanguards beat Fullerton last week, 26-21. 5 different Vanguards scored, so they show a little bit of that versatility, Dan.
Yeah, Dylan Keefe's number 44, just like Stamos. See, they can control the line of scrimmage. If they can and run Keefe, I mean, they can keep Sipe and company off the field. That's one of their big chances. I don't know if they're as physical as Villa Park, El Medina, or have the size that Villa Park has. And these guys played a close game last year, as I recall. Kind of surprised some people, but Villa Park pulled it off. But I think Villa Park, you know, could be a favorite in this one.
All right, that's what we think of VP versus Elmo. But let's take a listen to what the Spartans have to say. We caught up with them earlier. Let's check it out.
Last year, we kind of went in the game and we disciplined some kids, and you know we were fortunate to come back and win the game at the end. But no, I think almost 3-0 for a reason. They come out and they play football, and like you said, they grind. So we got to come out and play good football. We got a lot of things we got to fix, and we're trying to work on that at this moment.
We do remember last year, you know, how they almost snuck up on us. So we really don't want to come out flat like that again because we know they're going to come ready to play. they're probably going to play their best game all year against us. If they win, it's going to make their season, even if it's their last win of the year. So we know we got to come out and play.
We kind of just learned that how small the margin of error is when we're playing a team that good. We just know that every little thing is going to count, every detail. So I think it was just one of those things where it kind of opened our eyes, and we can come out here and make sure we just kind of take care of all the mistakes that we make, and we realize we can't get away with them against a great team like that.
All right, guys, thanks to Villa Park for hosting us today. The last game we're going to talk about is JSerra at the Vet in Long Beach. They are visiting Los Alamitos, who is 3-1 on the year. Steve, you saw JSerra last week. They beat a higher-ranked Vista Murrieta squad. They beat them 28-14 on the hands and the arm of quarterback Matt Robinson, who had 3 touchdowns and 201 yards. Steve, I know how much you like JSerra. How many spots did they go up in your top 10 this week?
Well, in the preseason, I kind of figured they're like 10th or 11th in the county, but this week I voted JSerra number 3. I think Dan Albano did the same thing. They're pretty young in a lot of really key positions. Robinson's a junior. They got juniors and a couple sophomores all over the gosh darn place. But, man, they are fast, and they hit hard. I tell you something, I was so impressed by them. And, Los Al's only loss is, 7 points to Long Beach Paul in the opener. And since then, they've reeled off 3 in a row. Probably games you thought they were going to win anyway. But this is a nice matchup. But I tell you what, JSerra, they're feeling confident. They're playing well. And I really like the Lions in this game, guys.
The Griffins beat La Habra 40-29. Los Al only had 35 yards passing total, but hey, just give it to Dylan Laurent, right? He almost had 200 yards rushing, 188 to be exact, and 4 touchdowns. Private versus public. JSerra number 3 versus Los Al. Dan, what's your take?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really impressed with JSerra. They're not. Robinson is a well-known player there. So is Riley O'Brien is a well-known player there. But then they have a couple of linemen that we ranked high. But they're doing it with a lot of guys that we don't know too much about yet. We're trying to get to know the JSerra. We've kind of known about some of the guys that have transferred out. But Coach Hartigan, JSerra, a lot of pride in that program. Well coached. And they're playing great. And in Los Al, they got a good front 7. Could be maybe a low-scoring game. We'll see what happens. But, Robinson, the best quarterback in that game, that could be decisive for JSerra.
I don't know. I have a feeling this game might be a little closer than some think. I've been around Los Al. I think they're a pretty quality club. Steve, you had something that you wanted to say?
You know what? I was going to ask Danny this question. Dan, we've seen the Trinity League a few years, and it's always the best league, top to bottom. But I was thinking, if JSerra and Servite are the 5th and 6th best teams in that 6-team league, is this top to bottom the best the Trinity League's ever been?
And then we'll save that question for another show because we don't have another 30-minute discussion. Real quick answer, Dan, really quick.
Say maybe.
It's got a chance. It's got a chance. I mean, we'll have to see.
Maybe. That's a maybe.
If we get we'll see how the playoffs. I think that will, you really get to see. I mean, we have
in league,
wasn't there a year we had 3 Trinity League teams in the Pac-5 semifinals or something like that?
Yeah.
So that's where I start to think about how good it is. And when you have Centennial coming in and beating the Bosco last couple of years, it's hard to say that, but we'll see.
But as far as depth, up and down, man, I tell you, that league is something. It's always something. But this year, I'm just going, holy mackerel!
Yeah.
What a great
he does a podcast on the Trinity League. He knows. He knows.
Thanks for the plug.
Oh, you got it. We got you. We got you covered.
That thinks I'm not invited to be on it.
Yeah, there we go. All right. Thanks to Steve Fryer. Thanks to Dan Albano. Thanks to Villa Park for hosting us. And check out all of Thursday's games, all of Friday's games, and even Saturday on OCVarsity.com, where we've got you covered.
And we have a podcast.
We also have a podcast.